Welcome to another VeVe Digital Collectibles comic breakdown. I'm Corey with VeVe, and today we're looking at a tremendously historic comic that's coming to the platform. Marvel's giant-sized X-Men #1. This comic marked a significant turning point for the X-Men franchise, and it debuted a number of major characters. Today we're going to dig into the history, those first appearance characters, and the significance of this book to the X-Men franchise. Before we get into the breakdown, let's take a look at the drop details. Giant Size X-Men #1 is scheduled to release on Tuesday, February 28th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. With a price of 10 gems, this comic will mint 7,500 editions across the 5 rarities. We're going to take a closer look at all of those covers and the editions being minted for each one, but first, let's break down this comic's history. Giant Size X-Men #1 was published on July 1st of 1975. With art by Dave Cockrum and a story by Lynn Wein, this comic represented a turning point for X-Men. To fully understand the significance of this comic, you really do have to understand its history. I'd highly encourage you to go to the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel, and I have the link down below. They have a Seminal Moments series where they cover historic and important comics. This comic, Giant Size X-Men #1, is covered as part of that series. What you'll see in this video is the story behind the story of this comic. And the story in a nutshell is that this comic marked the rebirth of the X-Men. Prior to this release, readership and interest in X-Men was at an all-time low. The series would be canceled in 1970. The final issue was X-Men #66. And again, that's kind of an oversimplification of the issues that X-Men was running into from both a story and a publication standpoint. So again, highly encourage you to check out that Marvel Entertainment YouTube Seminal Moment video, as it provides a beautiful backdrop with interviews from Marvel legends about how the X-Men franchise rallied and overcame. What Giant Size X-Men #1 did is it created an entirely new trajectory for the X-Men team. It did this partially by creating a whole new team. The comic would see first appearances for many unlikely characters from many unlikely places. Aurora Monroe, Storm, the daughter of a Kenyan tribal princess and American photojournalist. She commands the weather. Peter Rasputin, Colossus, hailing from Russia. He can cover his body with an organic and impenetrable steel shell. John Proudstar, Thunderbird, born on an Apache reservation. He possesses superhuman athletic abilities like increased strength and speed. And Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, hailing from Germany. His ability allows him to teleport. The additional members of the team would include Wolverine, who joins the team for the first time in this comic. This would be considered his 3rd comic appearance. And rounding it out is legacy X-Men member Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. What you're seeing with the assembly of this team right from the start is that they represent many different people from many different places. This diversity amongst the team translated into the storytelling. If you're wondering where the rest of the X-Men team went, that pre-existing X-Men team, that's the premise of the story, and we won't spoil it for you, but this comic also introduced Krakoa, the living island. This massive sentient island feeds on the energies of mutants. This new group was hand-selected and assembled by Professor X in hopes they could locate and recover that pre-existing X-Men team. After this comic was released, X-Men fever took hold. Readers wanted more. Fortunately for them, Marvel and the legendary storyteller Chris Claremont, they were there to deliver. Uncanny X-Men '94 would kick it off, picking up where Giant Size X-Men #1 ended. The team would see original members leave, with only Cyclops remaining as the leader. And thus, the new era of X-Men would be born. And there's a lot of interesting pieces of history whenever we unpack this comic. For instance, X-Men prior to this was canceled on issue 66. After Giant Size X-Men #1 was released, the next comic in the lineup was 94. That's because the issues between 66 and 94 would be reprints of the original X-Men library. The titling of the X-Men series itself would go through all kinds of unofficial changes throughout the years. In the first return issue of 94, you'll see these are the all-new, all-different X-Men. Then in 1978, with the release of Uncanny X-Men 114, we'd see Uncanny and the title logo itself there for the first time. But the series name for X-Men wouldn't retroactively change officially to Uncanny X-Men, according to Marvel, until Uncanny X-Men 142. which was part of the legendary Days of Future Past storyline, a comic Marvel has on the platform right now, which is just another amazing piece of X-Men history. The following X-Men run was so popular that it published more than 500 stories between the years of 1963 and 2011. X-Men would have countless crossovers, spin-offs, and the stories and characters it has created have not only endured, they have influenced much of our current understanding of the Marvel comic universe and beyond. And part of that influence that stretched beyond the pages was the 90s era animated X-Men series. For many people, myself included, it was my introduction to the X-Men, and it got me into reading and collecting comics. In many ways, it ushered in an entirely new era of readers, and this generational love of X-Men will likely only continue. The announcement of Marvel Studios' X-Men 97, which is scheduled to be available for streaming on Disney Plus in fall of 2023, revealed that it will pick up where the original show left off. With another season already confirmed to be in production, the future looks bright for the X-Men and comics and beyond. But let's not forget, it all started right here with this comic, Giant Size X-Men #1, the comic that was the turning point for the X-Men franchise. And adding to the prestige of the comic that we're getting our VeVe exclusive rare and ultra rare covers. These are coming from Nicoletta Balderi. Nicoletta's VeVe exclusive cover portfolio includes some major and historic comics, which often focus on essential female characters in Marvel canon who didn't appear on their original first appearance comic covers. Amazing Spider-Man #31, a first appearance for Gwen Stacy, Miss Marvel #16, Mystique's first appearance, and Vengeance #1, America Chavez's first appearance, are a handful of great examples. Let's take a closer look at all of these covers, and remember, only 7,500 are being minted in total across these 5 rarities. First, the common classic cover is minting 4,500 editions. The gigantic title, the yellow banner on the top left corner, the ensemble of characters ripping through the page. There's few comic covers out there that are quite as iconic and easily recognizable as this one. So popular and beloved, this comic has been reprinted and homaged multiple times. And I even got a 2019 facsimile on the shelf right behind me. The uncommon vintage variant is minting 1,687 editions. Out with the old, in with the new. The cover highlights the change of guard that occurred within this story. Like we talked about earlier, the new and diverse X-Men team would change everything for X-Men moving forward. So it's amazing seeing them being given this sort of color selection. Fans of vintage variant color selections are going to be happy to add this one to their collection, and it's really going to stand out when displayed amongst others of this type. Our first VeVe exclusive cover, the rare hero variant, is minting 750 editions. Nicoletta Balderi is known and loved for her cartoon-like style, use of colors, and whimsical character interpretations. With this take on Giant Size X-Men #1, she joins a prestigious list of artists who have created homages and variants of this iconic comic. Staying true to her style, she's given vivid color to the characters and created a kaleidoscopic background. My eyes are also drawn to that retro modern page tear she's rendered, which framed this new X-Men team. Next, the ultra rare Vibranium variant is minting 375 editions. Full color across the top reveals Balderi's take on some of those classic X-Men members who end up leaving shortly after this issue. She's chosen cool blues for this area, which help create a sense of space and separation between them and the new team. The shifting and reduction of size of the Giant Size X-Men title logo provides space for Storm to be centered, which helps with the overall balance of this entire piece. Last, the secret rare True Believer variant is minting 188 editions. Sometimes you see an interior panel in a comic book and think to yourself, wow, that would make a really beautiful cover. That's exactly what we're getting with this variant. Here's the panel it's being pulled from. This cover is taken from page 1 of the comic book, and it was a full page spread. With this reduction in editions, the importance of the comic to collectors, and the legendary art selection for this variant, this is a secret rare that's likely going to be highly sought after. And that's a wrap for this info dump. I know I'm always talking about how everything is historic, but truly this is such a vital and essential piece of Marvel comic history. So best of luck if you do decide to go for this one. Till the next video, keep on learning, sharing, and collecting what you love. This is Corey with VeVe, signing off.